Which tight end could be a surprise top 5 finisher in the 2022 season? All that and more in this episode of the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Here are your hosts, Marcus Mosher and Kate Magdziuk.
Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Welcome into the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, everybody. I am Kate Magdziuk. You could follow me on Twitter at FFBallBlast. And of course, as always, I am joined by my fantastic co-host, Marcus Mosher. Give him a follow over at Marcus_Mosher. Follow all of his work now over at, I don't know, like USA Today, PFF, Mr. Big Guns himself. Marcus, happy Friday. How's it going?
It's going well. Okay, I will say this is my favorite weekend of the year coming up for a couple of different reasons. We've got football.
We got some drafts.
We've got drafts. We've got college football. We've got the NFL season coming up on Thursday. Everybody is hopeful about their teams. I love Labor Day weekend. This is going to be a great show. I can't wait to talk about some tight ends.
Yeah, as a football fan, it is an exciting time because it's the last weekend we have before we have tangible results that will let us know how bad our teams really are.
Plus, our poor wives will never see us again. So,
well, my wife will. Marcus, I don't know if people think about what our lives consist of. Announcement coming. I'm still going to be working in the football sphere now that I've left DraftKings Nation. My wife works for NFL Network. So it's literally just like, could you imagine if your wife was also in football? Like, how would you ever talk about anything else? And we don't ever talk about anything but football. And there are times where we literally have to say, no more football. Like, no, we are done with football talk today, because if we don't cut ourselves off, we're just going to keep talking about football. And it's addicting. And I love football.
But that's why we have this podcast. So today, Kate, we are doing our spiciest, our hottest, our boldest tight end takes going into the 2022 season. I know a couple of yours. I'm saving mine for last, but give us your first bold take.
Well, I'm a little nervous for your takes, Marcus, because I didn't sleep last night after your spoiler alert. No, I'm not going to spoil it.
Go listen to yesterday's podcast.
Go listen to the wide receiver spicy takes episode if you haven't, because and please, actually, I would love to see what this looked like on YouTube. If we could get a screenshot, Marcus, of my reaction to your wildest take of all time.
No, it's going to get wilder today. You just wait.
Oh my God. I am okay. All right. So I'm going to kick things off, and it's really not going to be nearly as spicy as probably yours, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to say Austin Hooper is a top 6 tight end in 2022.
That's it. Just nothing to back it up. Just a gut feel there.
Well, no, I was just waiting for your reaction. I mean, I didn't even get.
It's we've seen Austin Hooper be a fantasy relevant tight end in the past. Now that was with Atlanta with Matt Ryan. I have some doubts about his fit with Ryan Tannehill, but at the same time, like, who else are they going to throw to?
So yeah, I love that you talk about Matt Ryan and Ryan Tannehill. Like, Ryan Tannehill is a great passer. And so was Matt Ryan. I don't think Matt Ryan and Ryan Tannehill have as big a gap as you are insinuating by that comment, but that's just me. Austin Hooper. When I look for my breakout tight ends, right? I am looking for talent and I'm looking for opportunity. Austin Hooper, we already know that he is a capable enough receiver and not necessarily as good a blocker, which is kind of that perfect recipe for a receiving tight end. And we want to keep him running rounds. We want to keep him in the position where he could catch balls instead of just blocking. So he's that perfect mix already, just on a talent perspective. Now, in 2022, Austin Hooper ranks second best in tight end strength of schedule. But like the most beautiful part is the opportunity, right? So looking at what the tight ends or what the Titans have done, I mean, Marcus, it's kind of interesting their strategy, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
there were only 10 wide receivers to receive targets from Ryan Tannehill in 2021. Only 2 wide receivers on their team had more than 50 targets. And guess what, Marcus? Like Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, is that how you
Yep.
pronounce his
Yep.
name? Because
Yep.
he is the only wide receiver remaining from the 2020 roster who had more than 10 targets. Like they have literally completely hauled over their entire wide receiver core.
Mhm.
And, while that's great for, opportunity for the new guys, because they don't have historical rapport to compete against, that is going to create a lot of opportunity. Now, Austin Hooper, he's been there since the beginning. We know, Robert Woods, brought in free agency, had a torn ACL last year, so he hasn't been up to full speed, and he hasn't had all of the spring and all of the team drills throughout training camp the way that we've seen Austin Hooper. Now, from the gate, we've already seen lots of reports that Ryan Tannehill and Austin Hooper are building a rapport, and he's slowly becoming one of his favorite targets. You look at rookie Treylon Burks. He's come in and got off to a really shaky start to the season. Austin Hooper's really been the only kind of solid fixture in this receiving game throughout the entire offseason. Like it's been Austin Hooper. Among 61 quarterbacks to have at least 250 pass attempts in the last 3 seasons, Ryan Tannehill ranked 51st in running back targets per game. They always say vacated targets will
Mhm.
go to the running back. I don't see that happening. He ranked 24th among those same 61 quarterbacks in tight end targets per game. I think this is going to translate. I mean, Marcus, like in 2018, 2019, before the Cleveland era, we saw Austin Hooper with back-to-back top 6 performances. So he's going to do it again this year.
All right, you ready for me to be Mr. Wet Blanket?
No.
There are some things to get a little bit worried about. Like his yards per target have now gone down in 3 straight seasons. His yards after the catch have now gone down in 4 straight seasons. When he was, a top 5, top 6 tight end back in 2018, 2019, he was finishing pretty consistently inside of the top 7 in yards after the catch per target. That went all the way down to the 28th in the NFL last year. That could be a little bit because of the quarterback and that kind of stuff, but I do worry that he's going to have to be a pure volume guy rather than being an efficient tight end.
Don't you think
But
that
he
he's
might
in
get
for
it.
volume, though?
He might get it, and that's the argument, right? In 2019, he got 97 targets, put up almost 800 yards and 6 touchdowns. Like he might
I don't think
get
that's at all without outside of the
right.
realm of
He might
possibility.
get 102 targets this year, especially if Robert Woods can't stay healthy. So from a volume play, it's not a bad option.
And you know what the best part is, Marcus? In redraft leagues, Austin Hooper essentially free.
Yeah,
He's probably going
nothing.
undrafted in most leagues, being drafted on average per Fantasy Pros as the tight end 24 in
Free,
redraft leagues.
free.
Free,
Yep.
free, free, free. Free. If it's free, it's for me.
There you go. All right,
Austin
let's
Hooper TM.
we've got some more bold takes to get to. But before we do that, I want to tell you about Bet Online. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all of your pro and college football betting needs and sports info. Shout out to Pitt last night for winning a fantastic game. What a great way. Find all the latest football league developments, game matchups, news, and podcasts, including this year's opening week 1 games. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. It's the fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite sports and events, including MLB, NFL, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. Bet Online, where the game starts. All right, Kate, bold take number 2. Let's hear it.
Robert Tonyan will finish the back half of 2022. So let's say weeks 9 through 7 or 9 through 18. 18?
Yeah, 18. Yep.
18. Oh my
18.
goodness. What year is it? 9 through 18 as a top 5 tight end.
Okay.
I'm not banking for this to start the season, Marcus. I'm very much tempering expectations. He's coming off a torn ACL, and we know these players can start a bit slow, right? We know even if he's ready for week 1, which that's still a question mark. So, like, yeah, I'm not diving into Robert Tonyan. I'm not drafting him in anything because I'm going to be able to find him on my waivers much later in the season. But
Mhm.
Marcus, looking at Robert Tonyan and his opportunity this year, if healthy, without Devontae Adams in the mix, it's astounding. Essentially, you're going to have I know Alan Lazard is you're a big fan of Alan
Mhm.
Lazard, but like
Somewhat big fan. Yeah.
somewhat a casual fan. But like outside of Alan Lazard, who's not even a lock, like not a lock whatsoever. He has the trust of Aaron Rodgers, and that's basically the most ringing endorsement we've seen for Alan Lazard so far this year. But you know who else has lots of trust from Aaron Rodgers? It's 100% Robert Tonyan. Bob, isn't that what they were calling him?
Yeah.
Bob,
Big Bob
Bob Tonyan,
Tunyon. Yep.
Big Bob. Like we have already seen based on his 2020 season that Aaron
He's done it
Rodgers
before, right?
in critical situations, he'll go to Robert Tonyan and
Yeah.
he produces. Like it 11 touchdowns, 586 yards just 2 seasons ago. Had a really down 2021 even before the torn ACL. But I again, going back to what do I look at for that tight end breakout season or a big monster performance? It's opportunity, and I think there's only so many targets you can feed to Alan Lazard. There's only so many targets to feed
Yep.
to AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones. I do think that as Tonyan improves in his health throughout the course of the season, he is going to get more and more involved. And I think he's just going to finish off to a very, very hot start or hot close to the 2022 season.
I don't necessarily disagree because I do think he's going to need a little bit of time to get healthy. And we've seen when he plays, like he's almost a lock to score a touchdown a game, like especially when he's fully healthy and they can use him as a receiver. I don't disagree. Now, the hard part for me is Kate is that he just doesn't get a lot of receiving yards. In the last 23 games that he has started and finished, he averages 34 receiving yards per game. So you're really banking on him scoring a touchdown. Basically, he has to score a touchdown to be useful for you in fantasy because if he goes 3 for 34 every week, that's not doing you any favors. So,
Yeah, and like even last season, Marcus, only 2 games he had more than 50 receiving yards. But, the kicker
but
was he caught a touchdown in both of those games, which,
exactly.
great. And we know that Aaron Rodgers, he's pretty good at throwing touchdowns, and I don't think that's going to change without Devontae Adams. So,
The actionable advice here, Kate, is I wouldn't draft him if you have a
no.
redraft league coming up this weekend. And I'm not trading for him now if I'm in a dynasty league either. I'm waiting until early October, mid October, when he's not playing or he's just not playing a ton of snaps because that, or at least you hope by November, December, that's when he starts to look like his old self again.
Yes, that's exactly it, Marcus.
Okay. Is that all of your bold takes you have? Because I've got one more before we move on, or one more, but one spicy one before we head out.
Yeah, Marcus, this is not like I'm usually a bold, takey kind of person. And I will say the tight end position, not a place where I have that many bold takes. I've got Zach Ertz projected for 9 touchdowns, which is a career high, but I don't really think that's as bold as you would think it is, especially with the hot start he had to close out the 2021 season. So yeah, that's kind of my bold take. But if hashtag Zach Ertz, baby, currently being drafted as tight end 10 with much higher upside while DeAndre Hopkins is out. So That's a mini there's my mini take, but again, I don't think it's all that hot takey. So I'll spare you.
All right, here we go. The hottest, most bold take we're going to have here. Again, this is a bold take show. Doesn't mean it has to be correct. There's a lot of optimism in this take right here. Hayden Hurst
Oh my
will
god.
finish as a top 3 tight end this year in
Oh
fantasy.
my god.
Let's talk it out, okay? First of all,
Let's talk it out.
every few years we get a random top 3 or top 4 performance, and we can go through the names of the last, several
Dalton
years.
Schultz.
Well, yeah, we'll get 2017 Zach Ertz. Not super surprising. Number 4 was Delaney Walker. Number 5 was Evan Ingram. The season before that, the season after that, we had Austin Hooper finished high. Eric Ebron finished as tight end 3. Jared Cook was tight end 4. I mean, like, there's some not great tight ends that finish pretty high. Even Dalton Schultz, who you mentioned, he finished as a top 6 tight end in 2021. In 2020, your beloved Big Bob Tonyan, tight end 3. Logan Thomas, who was a wide receiver before that season, finished as tight end 4. So it's not wild to see a name like this jump up inside the top 3, top 4. Let's make the case for Hayden Hurst, right? He is now, for like the first time in his career, the only tight end to worry about, right? There's no Mark Andrews. There's no Kyle Pitts. This is going to be a pass-first offense. We know Hayden Hurst sucks as a blocker. He's just bad. Like, nobody's going to say that he's a good blocker. And I think the good thing with the Bengals is now, because they've improved their offensive line, they're not going to need to keep in a tight end to help chip on the right edge rusher, right? They can allow the tight end to scream down the middle of the field and get open, where a lot of times they had to have CJ Uzama do that last year. We know that teams are going to try to take away Jamar Chase. They're going to take away T. Higgins. This is going to be a lot like the Dalton Schultz thing where, hey, if you're going to let somebody beat us, let's let it be the tight end. I could see this being the season as every week that Hayden Hurst is healthy, because that's been a problem before. He is 64 yards and he's got a great chance at scoring a touchdown. Like, I could see 1,000-yard season for Hayden Hurst coming out of absolutely nowhere.
The issue, Marcus, it's the competition, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
don't see any pathway with, like, there's just not enough plays in the game. Like, there's not enough plays in the game to get him as involved as you want. Because, like, we're even talking about, like, T. Higgins versus Jamar Chase. Is there enough to go around to make both of them top 10 assets? Now we're throwing Hayden Hurst into the mix. I understand the upside, right? Especially if there were to be an injury to any of these other
Like Tyler
assets
Boyd. If
within
Tyler
that.
Boyd goes down for 8 games, I could see him getting a huge workload. Hayden Hurst.
I think that's fair, but even to that point, we still have Joe Mixon. Like, I don't think there's enough going around to support your take, but that's okay. I think
It's
you're
not.
wild.
It's not a foolproof take. Like, I understand you can poke holes pretty easily in this take. It's just
The boat sinks pretty quick on this one, Marcus.
If I'm a team trying to stop the Bengals, let's list the priorities. Like, number 1,
Yeah.
stop Jamar Chase. Like, I'm putting a safety over top of Chase. Number 2, I'm not letting T. Higgins beat me one-on-one down the field. So I'm probably playing a lot of cover 2. Okay. That means that Mixon could get a lot of holes in the running game, but that also opens up the middle of the field for Hayden Hurst. It might just be that Hayden Hurst is the least talented skill player on this offense. And because of that, he actually benefits, because defenses just can't give a lot of attention. Like, he's probably going to see the second best linebacker in one-on-one coverage most of the time. Like, that's probably going to happen. And Burrow as a quarterback, he's just going to throw it to the open guy. So I could see something like that happening early in the season. And plus, like, could you ask for a better week 1 matchup, like against Devin Bush? Like, it's just going to get off to a hot start. We're going to be talking about Hayden Hurst here.
Yeah, that's fair. I think your best point is that he's going to be the absolute lowest on the priority list. And
Yes,
if Joe Burrow, an excellent quarterback, recognizes that when he's going through his reads, that Maybe.
I also want to
This
say
is the bold prediction show.
it's a bold. I also want to say it's not like Hayden Hurst is an undrafted free agent or anything like that. Like, I know his career's gotten off to a rough start, but like, he was a first-round pick who the Ravens took over Mark Andrews because he's really athletic. He's a really smooth player after the catch. He can't block at all. So
He's also
really,
90 years old, correct?
I mean, he might want to start looking at retirement homes. But yeah, this is the breakout season, Kate. Feeling it.
Yeah, I am always here for the age 29 breakout. I'm always here. But
all right, there you go. Well, that is it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. Please tell us that we're wrong on our spicy bold takes. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty your first listen today. Now make your second listen the ultimate pro football preview 2022. It's an 8-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NFL season. The local team experts of the Locked On Podcast Network, plus a betting angle from Lee Sterling of Locked On Bets, all combining into one ultimate NFL preview. Search for the Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022 on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. All the same places that you download the fantastic Locked On Dynasty podcast. Follow Kate on Twitter at FFBallBlast. I am at Marcus_Mosher. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend, and let's get ready for football next week.